Hello, people. Welcome back. Once again, mic check. Yes, mic is on, and welcome back to another setup guide. Here we are in Brazil. All right, I forgot. Almost forgot. Excuse me. It is update day, and new patch has been dropped. The F2 2022 is out right now. So if you are interested in that, make sure you get your game updated, and then go throw the cars around on the track that you like. Anyway, if you are here for the F1 stuff, um, setups, this is what I like to do. And again, apologies for the slight delay from the last upload, which was the first setup in Bahrain Grand Prix. Now we are kind of jumping the calendars here and there because I'm just following a league schedule and also just a random schedule here and there with another league. So bear in mind, but to make it easy for y'all, there will be a playlist here or here, wherever it is on the top left, top right. I don't know. It will be in the annotations. You can go over to the playlist and check out the setups in this series. So this will be the second one, Brazilian GP. Now, again, the meta in this game is you want as low downforce as possible that you can get away with without severely affecting your pace. I have here a setup from the time trial. Let me just show you what I have first. So let me just quickly save this before I forget it once again. I have done the league race just 2 days ago, and then I've come back just to validate my findings on the setup, and I will be using that to publish the Omega almighty guide of how to make a setup in this game. Now, what we have over in time trial, let's just go over to one of our good friends here and load the setup that they use, also from the world record in time trial. So time trial is using slightly higher downforce than you expect, but for a good reason, because time trial you can get away with extra downforce. You always have no tire wear, you have Hotlap mode enabled 24/7, and use time trial as a way to practice your lines, get into a good rhythm with the car and the setup and the track, all that stuff, just to acclimatize yourself. And then once you're ready to practice, if you have a buddy, always go into a multiplayer session so that you get the most accurate conditions that you want. Or you can go to something similar to that will be Grand Prix mode, and set it to whatever conditions you like. I like to practice in clear weather, which is the hottest temperature available in the game, just so I can get my pressures right. And I'll come to that in a short moment why I like to set it to hot conditions in clear weather. Setup that's used in time trial is a 2013 wings. The rear wing does generate a lot more drag in this game, but it's also generating a lot more downforce, so there's always a trade-off there. Brazil, because of that long pit straight that you have all the way from Junsao, which is effectively the last real corner where you have to brake, but it is the second last corner of the track. So from there on, all the way down to turn one, that's your first sector pretty much. So you want to be quick on that straight, because that will be your primary overtaking opportunity in this track. The second DRS zone after the center SS, that is also going to be your second most probably preferred choice to make an overtake if someone gets a bad run out of it and you get a better run out of center SS on them. Now you want low downforce for that, and this might be enough. There are variations where you can go low on the wings. It's all about preference. If you feel comfortable with the car, you're not losing time in sector 2, you're carrying a lot of momentum throughout the corners, and you can afford to keep dropping the wing to a point where you feel that it's too low. The only problem with going too low on downforce is you are going to be suffering from more tire wear in the race, especially if it's going to be a long race like Brazil, which is 36 laps in a full 50% race. So ideally around, maybe I'd say somewhere around 10 to 12 will be a good weight. If you want to drop it even further, you can go as low as 8 or 7, even more. But again, if you're okay with time management, go for it. If not, stick to what that's given here, practice it out, and see the ERS regen as well. How much do you regenerate in clear air without using DRS, so that you can get a rough idea of how much battery you will be recharging per lap in a race. Say you recharge about 5% a lap. Over 10 laps, if you're following someone with DRS, you're pretty sure you're going to be recharging about 60 to 70% of your battery. That's enough to make an undercut or overcut work on them. So again, you got to plan probably a few laps ahead in terms of what you want to do in a race. Same thing applies in your career mode races. No different concepts, everything is the same. Now back to the setup. Transmission, and well, let me just say it real quick. The main way you're gonna be getting speed or lap time out of your car mainly comes down to the wings that you're using, and also a bit of the tires in the race, because tires, as you know, that's the only thing that's touching the ground, touching the surface of the car, of the track, and tire pressures will be very crucial. If you exceed 100 degrees Celsius, they're going to overheat and you're going to lose a lot of grip. Ideally, you want to keep them around 93 to 97, I'll say. That's the sweet spot I found for myself. So just keep 95 in your mind. If you exceed 97, 98 on the hard tires, you know you are in trouble. So you need to lower the pressures even more. Higher downforce will help you to heat up the tires faster. Low downforce will take a little longer to heat up the tires. So bear that in mind as well, especially when you are doing an undercut or overcut. Coming out of the pits, it's important to warm up tires real quick. Transmission, it's going to help with how your car feels, say when you're taking corners, or you're braking and accelerating, either one. So on throttle will affect how your car feels when you're going on throttle. So you're powering down and you have to go around 55 to 60. I'll say that's the sweet spot in this game. You can always go 50, that's always possible, but this is going to induce even more wheel speed. That's how differential works, because the way the tire lock, differential, whatever, how the way they interact mechanically. If you have your differential too low, it's gonna spin the inside tire way too different compared to the outer tire, and that's gonna generate wheel spin. Now if you have it at 100%, theoretically what it's going to do is, when you are coming out of a corner, the inside wheel and the outside wheel are going to rotate at the same speed. That is going to give you best forward momentum. That means it's the best for acceleration, especially out of slow corners, but it has a potential of generating wheel spin as early as you go on the power. Now you go lower on the on throttle, that is going to make your acceleration much smoother. You're going to lose a bit on the potential best exit, but in this game, trust me when I say this, 55 to 60 is pretty much the sweet spot you want to be in. 60 will be a bit more understeery if you're taking high speed corners, but you can use it for exiting low speed corners like hairpins and whatnot. 55 I think is the best overall in all tracks at all conditions. Off throttle, again, you can use this as a magic tool in qualifying and also before the race start. So while you're on the grid adjusting your setup, you go lower on the off throttle, it's going to help you to rotate the rear of the car, so allows the differential to loosen up, and then your car turns in more effortlessly. But this can come at a cost of extra sliding on the rear. This can potentially also increase your tire temps because you're sliding a lot more, which also leads to extra tire wear if you're not smooth with your inputs. So always for race, I'll recommend going at least 51 or 52 if it's a track where rear tire wear is much more crucial. Say somewhere like Canada, maybe the hell of all rear tire wear, Baku. You might want to go even like 53, 54, I don't know. We'll test that out once we get to Baku. But 51, just nice, I'd say, for a race condition. 15 qualifying, just go for it, send it. And suspension geometry, again, this is going to be standard throughout this game. Right, left. That's pretty much the best way to say it. The reason is this is the most stable, as stable as you can get. Doesn't give you too much understeer, doesn't give you too much oversteer. It's just a nice balance. There's always few things that you can do with this suspension geometry itself. If you want to fine-tune your setup, just find a little bit more stability or find a bit more rotation. I will explain that in that that Omega setup guide. Suspension, this is where you will find a lot of time also. This is also going to affect how your car feels, not necessarily affect the speed of your car, but affects the handling of the car. All right, so like the wings, the more you put on, it's gonna make you faster through the corners, slower on the straights. Suspension, not really. They're not gonna do that much to your cornering speed, but it will allow you to drive into the corner the way you like it. All right, so indirectly it does impact your lap time, but directly it doesn't affect too much. Now in time trial, again, you want to be as fast as possible, as pointy as possible. Rears, always keep it a 1. That's for the best traction and best stability on the rears. Fronts, you can go up and down accordingly. I'll come to my setup and explain why I did what I did. Right height, again, you just want to be comfortable over the curbs here. 5'4" is a good baseline to start off. 100% on the brake pressure, 50% on the brake bias. Stick to this and you'll be good throughout the game, A to Z. You can use 51 at some corners, say sometimes into turn 1 in Brazil. I used that a lot during the league race and also the last corner, because it's a bit of a heavy-ish braking zone where if you lock your rears, you're gonna lose a lot of time. So just to make sure my fronts are stable and the rear is not losing itself, I push it up to 51 under braking. Tires, time trial, as always, you can always go maximum pressure on the rears. That is going to give you a lot of stability on the rears. Fronts, you go minimum just to give you more turn in on the front. Now, the cost of this is, if you use this in a race, you're going to have severely overheating rear tires, and that's going to kill your race. No matter if you have 0-0 downforce or 50-50 downforce, you're going to be wrecked. So now this is for time trial. If you just want to go set lap, go for it, use this setup, try to play around. Now let's come to the holy grail, the abomination that I've created here. Well, I'll say it somewhat works, but well, it's actually nice to drive as well. You may like it, you may not like it, but there are some tweaks you can do to it. Start off, I've lowered the wing by 1. Front arrow, I've gone down from 20 to 19. That's just because these time trial setups are always very pointy, and aliens, they can handle it. Perhaps someone like me and you, we are not that precise in our inputs, so we can't really handle that much of precision yet. So 19 on the front wing, that's so the car doesn't turn in too much and it's relatively predictable while I'm cornering. Again, it's personal preference. You can go low on the wings, you can go high on the wings if you want. In the race, it's all up to you. Transmission, this is what I use exactly in my race, 55 on throttle. I did use 60 for one of the qualifying runs, and I didn't really like it, especially in the middle sector. It's a bit meh, so I reverted back to 55. Again, personal preference. You can use this to find some time. Practice this out and you will definitely find the difference. 51 in the race, 50 in qualifying. That's very important, just to give you that extra turning on the rear. Helps you to gain some lap time here and there. Geometry, no changes. And suspension, here's where the fun begins. Like Anakin would say, 11-1, 11-1. Right, now let me give you an explanation why this is done. And the reason is, this is pretty much the most stable suspension setup you can ever do in the game. So stiff fronts and soft rears is going to give you the maximum stability on your suspensions. Given this year's game is very reliant on ground effects, you do not want your car to be bottoming out in any way or so. So just doing this helps to make your car feel a little more predictable. Unlike last game, where it relied more on the front and rear wings to generate the downforce, you can run whatever you want. If you remember, if you've been here around my channel, I used to run something like 1-1, 1-6 for the suspension back in that game. But in this game, you want the rears to be at 1, as soft as they can, to give you the best traction and stability on the rear. On the front, I always start with 6-1, 6-1. On the front, 6 is somewhat the preset I like to start with. Now, why I've gone 11 is just because it feels very nice in high speed. If it's a track where there's a lot of slow speed corners, say somewhere like Baku, you definitely want to try something lower. Maybe even the preset that I have, 6-1, 6-1, it will work throughout all tracks. And let's go to the ride height. Again, after running a lot of laps in the race, in time trial, in practice, pretty much 2-3 hours till my thumb is almost dead. 4 on the rear ride height is perfect, perfect around here. You can even run 5, just to give you that extra bit of confidence when you go through the high speed corners, when there's undulations. It will keep your race slightly more stable. Again, it depends on the rest of your setup. If you have too much front wing, either way, you are going to feel the oversteeriness in the car. That's even a word. Front ride height. Here is another thing that is magical in the game. Since we know straight line speed is pretty difficult to find in this game. Slipstream doesn't work that effectively like last year. DRS is less effective, and pretty much overtaking is pretty hard. ERS is much harder to save, but it is much more powerful when you deploy it. So you want to be finding as much straight line speed as possible. The best way to find more straight line speed is like this: 11 ride height on the front, 1 ride height on the rear. This is going to give you the best straight line speed possible. But the problem with running 1 on the rear is you can bottom out, especially in high speed. So you do not want to be doing that. Keep it at 4 or 5 around this track. You should be fine. On the fronts, I did run 11 in my league race. The problem with that was, well, not really a problem. The good thing was it was really quick on the straights. I was compared to the time trial setup versus this, I'm about 3 to 4 kph quick on the straights alone, and that helps to follow and make some overtakes on the straight. But the problem is it's a bit difficult to follow in the middle sector, because when you raise your front ride height, it's going to increase the amount of understeer that you have in the car. So use this wisely. You can go up to 11 if you can play around with the setup, maybe increase the front wing, and you don't really lose that much from increasing 1 click of front wing. So perhaps that's a way you can go about it. Now I'll leave it at 9 because that's pretty much as good as it gets. As you saw in my Hotlap attempt just now, it was a bit dodgy. I lost a bit of time entering the middle sector, just not taking the correct line. It happens. But however, you can see it was pretty close to the potential that we had. It was much quicker where we needed it to be. Brakes are the same, tire pressures minimum on the front, and I believe this is 3 clicks on the rear. There you go, 1 2 3 3 clicks on the rear. It will be perfect if you are running in super hot conditions. Let's say clear weather, it's the hottest condition in the game. It is going to be just nice. You can even drop it to 2 and you can race this throughout the whole race. Now if the conditions are much cooler, let's say if it's sun with cloud, it's still sunny but a bit cloudy, yeah, that's called cloudy, right? Yeah, cloudy weather, you can run, I'll say, 1 click higher on everything. That's also going to help your tire wear. Higher pressures means less tire wear, lower pressure means more tire wear generally, all right, excluding your driving style. Now if it is completely overcast all the way, if it happens, you can get away with even 1 more click of tire pressures. So use that wisely. I'll say start off with 0 and 3 clicks. Always practice at least a little bit. The best way to know what is the ideal tire temperature range you want to be in, take the hard tires in your practice session and then load this tire pressures as you see, and then fill up the tank with full race fuel load. So Brazil is 36 laps. Just take 36 laps and then go out on the hard tires and see how the temperatures are reacting to it in the hot conditions. If they are about 94 95, you'll be good. If they are around 98 99, it's getting to the overheating region, you definitely have to reduce it, because once you go on to the mediums or softs, it's going to overheat even more. So that's one tip for you. It's been another setup guide for you. This time we are in Brazil. Quickly recap: if you are going into a wet race, say it's fully wet, indoors or wet, doesn't matter. If it's gonna rain, either way, I'll say at least raise it by 5 clicks on the front and rear, and you should be good. If it's a mixed conditions, I'd say you can stick to what you have here, and maybe just go 2 clicks higher just to make it even more drivable in the wets. If it's considerably long amount of wet driving, go for wet biased setup, more wings. That will help you out. If it's gonna be just wet for one portion and then it's gonna be dry all the way, or if it starts dry for a very long time and then wets at the end, stick to a dry setup. You want to be quick throughout a section of the race which is the longest. So there you go. This setup, you can always take this, practice, and then fine-tune it for yourself. And I'll be back for the next one, I believe, which is gonna be Spanish Grand Prix. That is the next league race that I have. And at the same time, I have prepared Imola and Miami for y'all that may come before or after Spain. So let's see. And also the Omega setup guide is definitely coming out very, very soon. So take care everyone, stay safe till then. You know, stay safe on the track, and don't be a bad on the track. All right, just stay safe, race cleanly. That's the most important thing. You do not want to be killing people in their races, even against AI. Leave them some respect. You never know, one day aliens might dominate us and they'll be like, ah, this was the guy that bullied us, let's not spare him anymore. Anyway, enough waffling. Hope you have a good day, and I'll see you on the next one. Ciao.